Hello everyone, Daniel here from Drones Kaki, here again with another video. In today's video, we are going to do a comparison between the classic Phantom 4 RTK and the new Mavic 3 Enterprise, and to show its differences and what the Mavic 3 Enterprise brings more advantage in comparison to the Phantom 4 RTK. So let's take a look. So let's first take a look at the Phantom 4 RTK. As you know, the Phantom 4 RTK has its camera gimbal right down here, and then you have its landing gear, and for its sensors you got 2 at the front, 2 at the back, 2 at the bottom, and then you will also get an infrared sensor on the left and the right side of the drone. Meanwhile, for the Mavic 3 Enterprise, of course, it's basically the same as the Mavic 3 Pro. You got the fixed gimbal camera, which you cannot be able to turn it around. And then as for the sensors, an upgrade compared to the Phantom 4 RTK, it is an omnidirectional sensors. You got 2 in the front, 2 at the top of the drone, and then you got 2 right here, which represents both the back and the left and the right side of the drone. And then you got 2 at the bottom here. So that is for the sensors. Now we take a look at each of the specs of the drone's camera. Okay, so for the camera specifications, let's take a look at the Phantom 4 RTK first. So the Phantom 4 RTK, the camera specs is at least a 1-inch CMOS sensor with 20 megapixels, and that is all for the Phantom 4 RTK. While the Mavic 3 Enterprise, there's 2 cameras if you look here. Okay, so the downside here, this is the wide camera. It has a 4/3-inch CMOS sensor, also 20 megapixels, the same as the Phantom 4 RTK, but it has a telecamera, and this telecamera is 1/2-inch CMOS sensor with 12 megapixels that you can actually use to zoom up to 56 times. Also, as an additional point, the camera has a mechanical shutter. Now let's take a look at the batteries. Now of course, for the battery, you can use any sort of Phantom 4 batteries. It is compatible with the Phantom 4 RTK. However, the flight time will be at least 25 minutes each. And for the storage, inside the Phantom 4 RTK box, you can store at least 4 additional batteries, which are here, 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 and here, and then a 5th battery, which will be stored inside the drone. Now for the Mavic 3 Enterprise, this is the battery. Of course, you can actually use any of your previous Mavic 3 or Mavic 3 Classic batteries. They are compatible with one another. And for the storage, there's 1 that you can place inside the drone, that's 1. And then you have an additional 5 slots, which adds to a total of 6. And 1 Mavic 3 battery can last up to 40 minutes of flight time. So that's at least more than an hour of mapping. Now for the main purpose of this video, which is the mapping comparison between the Phantom 4 RTK and the Mavic 3 Enterprise. So for the mapping sample, what we did is we draw out a 17-hectare area for the mapping usage of the Phantom 4 RTK and the Mavic 3 Enterprise. In terms of the specifications, we applied the same specifications to both drones, such as the side and frontal overlap, the course angle, the speed of how much the drone will fly and all that, and applied it to both these drones. Now, unsurprisingly, the Mavic 3 Enterprise manages to complete the mapping at a much more faster rate at about 30%. This is because due to the mechanical shutter, which allows for the Mavic 3 Enterprise to take photos much more faster at a higher rate compared to the Phantom 4 RTK. Now, in terms of the completeness, both of these drones managed to complete the 17-hectare mapping with only 1 battery. However, the differences is a bit big. So, for example, The mapping done by the Phantom 4 RTK, when it finishes, the battery is only left with only 30% left. So that means it's around the low battery warning. While the Mavic 3 Enterprise battery, when it completes the 17 hectare area, the battery still has around 17% of capacity. This means you can basically do another 17 hectare area of mapping, and therefore you can basically do twice the amount of area for the Mavic 3 in comparison to the Phantom 4 RTK. So not only can the Mavic 3 complete the mapping much more faster, but it also has a better camera quality, and this means that when you place in the photogrammetry, the results will be much more colorful and much more of a vibrance, giving you a much more greater look at your photogrammetry mapping area. Other than that, still the Phantom 4 RTK is still a viable option because it still has a centimeter accuracy. But I can safely say that the Mavic 3 Enterprise can give you a much more better accuracy, but also better color, better faster speed at operation. So that is all from our comparison between the Phantom 4 RTK and the Mavic 3 Enterprise. That is all from me. We'll see you in the next video.